morning, Maggie.
Good morning, Emily.
You're in a new location. Where are you?
Yes, I am. Actually, you may recognize this as an old location from when
I
was living with my in-laws. Yeah, I'm in my former office at my in-laws' house when we were working from home. We're having some work done at our house today, and so I brought the dogs over here, and so they would be out of the way. And I'm feeling a little sniffly, so I thought, why don't I just not go to the office today?
Got it.
So yeah, here I am.
Sweet.
Yeah, and you're in your old office.
I'm in my old office, which is
episode.
What was that?
This is a real throwback episode.
It is. You're totally right.
Season 5, episode 13.
The throwback. So Maggie, we have our third in our pilgrimage series today. Our third interview in our pilgrimage Soulcast series.
I think it's the fourth, actually.
Oh shoot! Really?
Annie, Peggy, Michael, and Phil. Now Phil. Oh, I just gave it away.
Yeah.
Well,
all right. Let's let in our special guest, the Reverend Phil Brochard.
Oh, buddy, here we go. Phil, tell us where you have been. What kind of pilgrimages you've been on?
So about 6 years ago or so, a colleague reached out to me who knew I liked that I easily came close to God in the wild, and said, I'd like to do a pilgrimage around St. Francis, but go to places that St. Francis would have loved. So not just Assisi. I've not been there yet. Peggy P, I'm coming. But no, he said we'd like to do some backpacking and hold prayer in common and be able to have time together, asking the big questions of life, finding God in the wild. And so every year around St. Francis Day, which is like the first weekend of October, we've gone somewhere. We've gone like to the Cascades, the Grand Canyon, Yosemite, Slot Canyons in Utah. And what's really interesting is every time we do it, it's like we think about, so often in life, we think about the end goal, right? Like we're going to make it to that thing, whatever that thing is. And in this case, like the bottom of the Grand Canyon or the top of a peak. But every time I do it, I'm realizing that, and this feels kind of cliche, but it's just what Michael and Annie and Peggy have said, which is that like, it's those steps that you take day by day that you discover something in yourself that's like opening up or releasing, so that, yeah, by the end of the journey, you can feel that, but it's the process of getting there that is the opening up. At least that's been my experience.
So I'm wondering, like, it's a pilgrimage you take every year. Well, I guess I'm wondering, like, what do you think you're after every year?
That's a good question. It's probably shifted for me. Every year we also read a book that in preparation for it. And so we try to find a different angle on the divine in the midst of creation. And so some of the book changes that. When we read Robin Wall Kimmerer's book, it was like, oh yeah, okay. Like it was really easy to see in the exchange between species or just in the landscape itself, like this sense of reverence. I think for me personally, I often bring a question on the pilgrimage. And as Michael and Annie talked about very clearly, it's like that daily step you take, like thousands and thousands of steps that you can't get away from yourself. And you have to, that question works on you. Hopefully my experience is it opens parts of you up, but it's always a different question that I'm bringing and bringing to God. But it's the one foot in front of the other. And this sounds like totally cliche, but it's really true. It's like you can't escape it. Like, this last trip we did in the Grand Canyon, we are literally on the bottom of the Grand Canyon. And by the end of the day, we need to be at the top. And there's no way up except for your 2 feet. And so we did about, I don't know, like 5,600 feet of elevation, and then whatever miles. And you just have to trust in God, but also the cool part about we're not doing it on our own, right? We're doing it with a group of people. And so the sense of the koinonia, that Greek word of deep communion, is real. And every year in the middle of the trip, we find a beautiful place to celebrate the Eucharist together. Now we happen to be a bunch of priests and occasionally a bishop. And so that's the kind of thing we like doing. I'll send some pictures. I'll show you some of these like really sweet spots we found in different places. And then we also hold morning and night prayer together and find ways to mark the light and mark the day. And so, it's like all those containers kind of put together.
That was gonna be my question, was about like the experience of doing it with a group rather than individually. Yeah. So yeah. I
mean, I think it's really cool to do it. Like I'm not against doing things and kind of doing things as an individual, but that only gets you so far. In my experience, for me, and it's also just not the same. I mean, you can, as I said, like nobody's going to walk those steps for me as much as I want. But like the first year I had a IT band injury as we were coming down. And so nobody could walk the steps for me, but they took a bunch of stuff out of my pack to lighten my load. I wouldn't have, I would have been in trouble without that. Like I was in such pain. And so that to me is like, it's just this big picture reminder that yes, we're walking this path, this pilgrim's path on our own, but we can't do it without other people.
All right.
I think that's my mic drop, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Thanks,
right.
Phil, for sharing.
Thanks, Phil.
Love you, All Soulsians. I will see you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
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 Hello again.
Hello again.
Sounds like a fun experience.
Yeah. And I was thinking about when you do something with a group, you can, well, I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud, but it seems like you could try pilgrimages that are more physically demanding than if you were alone, because you can disperse the pain or like the struggle of it among more people, like he just said, or if you were to get hurt, like there's somebody there watching out for you, or if you run out of water or whatever it is. Totally. I'd be curious to know what people think of like the Soup and Story group pilgrimages that are not super physically based. What it requires, like how you lean on each other in the midst of something that isn't like a physical pilgrimage.
Yeah,
because I think it's still there.
Well, it kind of reminds me of like Stephen ministry, right? Like grief or things like that are sorts of like journeys and pilgrimages in a way, and having a Stephen minister is like a way to like have a companion, and like you still have to go through all the grief and everything that you're experiencing. It's not like they can, like what Phil's saying, they can't do it for you, but they can bear witness and be with you, be in it with you. So,
that's a really good likening.
Well, what else do we have going on, Emily?
Oh dear. Okay, so we have this Sunday the final class of Scott McDougall's class, Reconsidering Sin and Salvation. The rest are all on the website. So if you go to Virtual Formation, you'll see all the 3 classes before this. You can watch those, and they'll live on the archive page after the class is over. What else is going on this week, Maggie?
Well, youth and children's ministries are happening. We have Sunday school at 10:10 for pre-K through grade 12. We have youth group 7:00 Sunday night, and I think that's all we have this week.
Okay. The only thing are to save the date for Holy Week, which begins April 10th. That's Palm Sunday, and then that week we're going to get into all the services. So, come to them all. I think
mainly Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Right. Yeah. Don't show up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
We won't be.
You'll be bummed. All right. Well, then, as we have been doing, we have our Living Waters special guest today. But before they come on to share a story from the Living Waters, there are still enrichment gatherings you can sign up for, these coffee groups, to learn more about what's happening with the campaign. Then we also have a second newsletter coming out this week, so you can check your inbox for the updates there. And the Maundy Thursday prayer vigil, you can sign up for it. There's a big board in the narthex, and you can sign up to pray overnight in the chapel. And lastly, on Sunday, we're going to have boards up around the church that will indicate where some of the ideas for the projects for the capital campaign are going to be happening. So we're going to like kind of show you like where the elevator might be if we were to be able to get the elevator installed, or what would happen to the kitchen or whatever. So you could take a tour inside the church on Sunday and follow the billboards around and get an idea for what the projects of the capital campaign might be. So don't forget to check that out on Sunday morning as well. Now,
on Monday evening, I went to Soup and Story, as I do every Monday evening during Lent. And it was different. We generally talk about various things, but we had a presentation from the Living Waters campaign, and it was really interesting and fun, and I think we all learned a great deal about it, and we learned it together, which was good for all of us. And the film that was shown was really wonderful, because we saw all sorts of people from the parish, different ages, different and I realized, because you can't tell this, but I can't walk. I walk with a walker. So there are parts of All Souls that are not very friendly to me. And I'd love to see an elevator and more ramps and all that stuff. And that's important. I don't mean it isn't important. I think we need to think about the people who aren't coming, because it's not a friendly place in some ways. But I realized that there's much more to it than that. This is a community building project, and we have to come together and decide what's most important. And I was very moved by Phil's comments about, this place has been handed down to us over, I don't know, over 100 years, whatever. And it's up to us to pass it along to the next generation. And I think that's very important. So there are all sorts of aspects of the campaign that are important. It will be up to us to come together and see what's of most importance. But I have great faith in the parish to make that discernment when the time comes. I've been at All Souls for several years now, and until you need help, you're not quite aware of how you can ask people for help, and they're very, very happy to do it. And it says something about the community that I feel free to call the person who helped me get to Julie's house on Monday evening, Julie's house where we were meeting, and it meant that somebody agreed to come along and carry my walker and pretty much carry me up about 5 stairs up to the living room. And I feel free to ask people for things. We need to feel very free to ask people to give what they're able to give, because that's what makes a community. We all do this together. I was very glad I went Monday evening, and I was very glad that the campaign people took the time to do it. It was important.
Well, what exciting news from the Living Waters.
Indeed. All right.
Well, see you Sunday. Maggie, see you later.
Goodbye.
Let the church roll